Hey everyone, it's time for another video in the Initia series by Lavender 5. And this time we're diving into one of the, I guess, three core features of Initia, which is MinitSwap. And MinitSwap is best explained as a DEX or an AMM, so a swapping venue that allows instant withdrawals from all from and to all Initia layer 2s called Minitias. And it's best described in this image, which is visible in their application, which it basically shows how normally L2s work, which is you have a layer 1, that's in this case it's Initia, and then you have a layer 2, and between those is an optimistic bridge because it's an optimistic L2. Just like Optimism, just like Arbitrum, and many other L2s on Ethereum. An optimistic L2 means that there needs to be a period of time, which is most notably 7 days, for any person that basically inspects the state of the layer 2 and inspects the state of the layer 1 to mention that whoever is sequencing transactions, so whoever is deciding how the transactions flow on this layer 2, which often is a centralized party, that they made a mistake or that they lied, basically to change the state of the chain from what is actually recorded on the layer 1. So the recording on the layer 1 and all the verifications that were pushed there are not the same as the output on the layer 2. And if anybody ever finds a mistake, the optimistic layer 2 needs to be rolled back, needs to be changed in order to be verified again. So it takes 7 days for something to be truly final. It's a period where basically people can dispute anything that happened. So when you withdraw assets from a layer 2 and you again mint the token on a layer 1, in this case init, or it could be ETH on Ethereum, the layer 1 needs to be very, very sure that the layer 2 was 100% correct and nothing strange happened. And that's why it takes 7 days. And MinitSwap is a suite that basically allows people to change this. So yes, you can use the 7-day withdrawal periods, but you can also use IBC and make it just 1 minute. And it seems like that might be a small change. I just want to withdraw some tokens. Who cares? But if you have an ecosystem of rollups, it becomes very, very important because now instead of having to send messages between L2s, like what if I have another one, it will be basically impossible for me to go to Initia and then to another layer 2 because it would take 7 days for my message to parse to Initia and then it would take time for it to go to the layer 2. So normally in this world, these layers are connected directly, but that means the tokens on this other L2 are not the same, right? If I bridge init to this layer and then bridge it here, it's not the same as if I bridged it directly from Initia to this layer. And this is where IBC comes in. Basically, MinitSwap allows any user to basically send their funds from the L2 back to the L1, and then on the L1 swap it with other users who want to go to the L2. So you create a market for these tokens and for going in and out, and you make this market as beneficial as possible. And this way, people cannot necessarily withdraw one-to-one. If they want one-to-one, they have to go like this. But here they I don't know, they might get 1 to 0.97. And this 3% fee you might be willing to take. So that's what we're diving in today, and we're doing that by a diagram, which hopefully helps people better understand what is happening here. We have the basic concept, which we explained right here, and now we're moving to this diagram where the concept is instead of it being left is the L1 and right is the L2, we split it in the middle like this. So we have the layer 1, which is everything above this line here, and then we have the layer 2, which is everything below this line. Which I should have probably drawn it the other way around, but I think for explaining this, it will 100% suffice. And then the layer 2s, you can consider them as being something like Milky Way or Tucano, one of like the already sort of deployed Minitias on the chain right now. And there are several actors, and the actors are displayed as a box. So we have a depositor, which is here. We have an init holder, and we have something with I call an OP init holder. And OP stands basically for them being in on the optimistic L2. So they hold init, but it's just referenced as OP init. And I use init as this example, but all of this goes for any specific token. So right now the token I'm thinking about is init, but it could also be USDC that's based on Initia, or ATOM that's brought in from the Cosmos Hub to Initia and then bridged to other L2s. So it's the same for any asset. This is just an easy way to explain it. So there's different actors and there's different pools and like functions. So we already described the actors. We have a depositor, which is basically someone that wants to use their tokens that they have on the L1 to earn yield. And in this case, they have init and they want to earn some yield, so they deploy to MinitSwap. Because the cool thing MinitSwap allows is that you only have to deposit one asset. You only have to deposit the asset that's live on the L1, and there's no, like, you don't have to also put in USDC or put in ETH. So there's no impermanent loss. You just deposit in it. That's actor one. Then there is a second actor, which is an init holder that he might be willing to do some arbitrage. He might be willing to use the ecosystem, but he is a holder of init on the L1 and not on the L2. So for now, all his assets are here, and he might want to take actions to get his assets to the L2 or to other or yield from them. And then there is a third actor, which is someone that holds OP init, so Initia, the Initia token on any of the layer 2s. And why do I say any of the L2s? It's because this system, MinitSwap, is the same for any L2. The Initia deposit also accounts for any L2s. It's the protocol itself that determines how much goes to one L2 and how much goes to the other. That's all configured within the same interface. So just consider this to be any L2. So with these three actors, we're now going to dive into how the process actually works, dependent for the different actions. And we'll start explaining the actions I also explained above, so we have this similar picture. So just like in the image above here, where we have the OP init bridge and the IBC bridge, basically people wanting to move in and move out, we have the same depicted here, where we have a bridge in and another version of a bridge in, which is this function and this function, and we have a bridge out, which are these two functions. What you can see is that there is a completely separate part of MinitSwap, which is just the OP bridge. It's truly a separate system. I just drew it in the same system because it helps describe what's actually happening. So just as in the image above, you have an instant entry if you want to go to the L2, and you have a slow exit if you go out of the L2. But both of them are one-to-one. This acts like any other L2, so this could be ETH mainnet as well, or Dimension, which has a similar type of optimistic style bridge to all of the L2s. So if you deposit your token, you can just go in, and then if you want to withdraw your token to the L2, you can go out. This is one of the functions that exist. And then here's the IBC function, which is if I'm a holder of OP init and I want to exit, I can IBC my token to the layer 1. So I'm going through this line. I'm going to the L1. And as soon as I'm on the L1, I can swap it. And that's where MinitSwap comes in. So let's dive in. MinitSwap is basically a balancer style LP pool with one caveat, is that all of the assets are very, very correlated, right? So they're a stable swap. Because Initia and init and OP init should, in theory, be worth the same. The only difference between them is the time value of money. It's the 7 days that it takes to get out. So these assets are highly correlated, which makes them a perfect example of a stable swap. Additionally, there is an additional actor which has it has all kinds of benefits, and it can do certain things that any of the other actors can't do. And this is the peg keeper, as it's called. And the peg keeper is basically, you should view it as an arbitrage system that always aims to keep this pool stable. So in this example, I acted as if there's 66 init in the pool, and there's 34 OP in it. And at any moment in time, if a user who is an OP init holder wants to exit quickly, he might want to swap his OP init for Initia on the layer 1. So what he will do is he will instigate an IBC transfer, and the IBC transfer will then swap their init like this. So we'll go to the pool, it will withdraw init, where it puts additional, I don't know, +2 OP init in it, and it will get 1.95 or something like that in it from it, and that goes to the same actor. Consider it to be the same actor, which is the init holder. So that's what an exit looks like. And this exit means the pool goes imbalanced, right? Over time, we will get more in it and we'll get less OP in it. And that's the interesting part, because that's by definition the thing most people will do. Most people will use this simply to exit, right? Unless you're someone that wants to go to the L2 and you realize that going through this pool is actually cheaper than what you would get if you go through the OP bridge. Here you get 1-to-1. But if a user that goes out gets less than 1-to-1, that means that if you go in, you get more than 1-to-1. So if I'm an init holder and I want to use my init on Milky Way, why would I go through the OP bridge if I can get it cheaper through MinitSwap? And that's what this system is allowing. It's basically allowing people to buy init from people that don't want it, the OP init holder, and it moves it to people that do want it, people that want to go to the L2. So the init holder here has two options to do this. It can either swap with the pool, that's this arrow, which is a similar process as before. It just sends its assets, it will swap on the market price. So let's say it puts in 2 init in this side, then it might get out minus 2.05. There is a calculation here which I should know, but I don't know exactly. But like, this is sort of what you can assume. It gets a little bit more OP init out, and then it becomes an OP init holder. The other option, and this is where the pack keeper comes in, and that's what we'll dive into after this only, is it can buy directly from the pack keeper as well. So instead of buying from the pool, it can buy from this actor. So what this actor does, it's basically trying to balance this equation. It's trying to make it so the price of init and the price of OP init is exactly the same, and the balances of these pools are 50-50, or whatever the target ratio is. And the target ratio is noted here. It's actually called the fully recovered ratio. Here in this example, I put it as 0.4. So you would make this, I want more in it in this pool than I want OP in it. That's the example here. But this target ratio basically changes dependent on how many assets are here, how many people are leaving, and stuff like that. It's not necessarily super important how this ratio changes. It's only important for like very efficient market actors. But for now, just know that this pack keeper is balancing the pool, but to what it balances is determined by an algorithm which is separate from itself. It's decided by the market. So the pack keeper is the person that's trying to balance this pool, and because of that, it has additional functionalities. One is it itself can, just like an init holder, can swap init for OP init. So it can put in init, get out OP init, and put its OP init in its balance. So it can go like this. If it does that, there is more init in the pool, so more people can exit. It's basically allowing people to slowly exit out of this thing by constantly putting in more in it, right? The pack keeper is putting more in, and the OP inits holders can get more out. But over time, that means that the ratio completely changes, right? The ratio might go to 0 to something like this, and there might be only OP in it. So this decreases the init balance of the pack keeper, which over time is detrimental, because at some point this stops, and then OP init would be priced at very little, right? So it needs to balance this pool. So besides decreasing its own init balance, it can also increase its init balance. And it does this by selling some of its own init. So the pack keeper, not the pool. The pack keeper and the pool are separate. But the pack keeper gets a balance from governance, and it can sell this on a weight adjusted market price to any of the init holders. So like I said before, the init holders can buy on the market, but they could also buy directly from the pack keeper. And this is called a direct swap. And it basically allows this holder to buy the OP init from the pack keeper for init So the Initia L1 token at the price, whatever the peg keeper bought it for. So the peg keeper is constantly swapping, right? It's constantly buying OP in it, and it's also buying it at a relatively cheap price because it's always, and that's a rule that I haven't explained yet, but it's executing before users. So it's buying cheaper than users on the market. So at some point, there is a chance that if you buy directly from the peg keeper, it's cheaper than if you buy it on the market. So people that want to go to the L2, they won't do an optimistic bridge, they won't swap, no, they'll buy it from the peg keeper. And this increases the init balance. So it basically offloads OP init it bought on the market to try and stabilize this pool and sends it back to holders that are willing to like move to the L2. And then additionally, it can also increases it in its balance by rebalancing. So it over time, you buy a lot of OP in it that's on the L1. And what it can do is it can send it to the L2 through the OP bridge and then withdraw. So it can do the same action in the withdraw. So it sends it here over IBC. It should be written as this. It sends it over IBC. And then through the OP bridge, it sends it back. And this, of course, takes 7 days. So a peg keeper can use some of its balance to send assets back through the optimistic bridge to its own balance to again increase its init balance. And this allows the peg keeper to then over time again buy more OP init from the pool so more people can exit. And this whole system in the end basically allows people to exit quickly if they want to, right? If they want to instantly say I want to swap, they just do like this, they go swap, they get out. And it allows other people like the peg keeper to profit from that, right? They can buy as cheaper and they can then use their automated system to withdraw it. So the peg keeper is basically a market maker. It's trying to optimize the balance in the pool, and additionally it has certain governance parameters so that it also keeps risk. So not if there is 90 in it in this pool, and there is already actually we can use this example. If there's 66 in it in the pool and there's 34 OP in it, only maybe 30 in it can be swapped. So only people can only get maybe 30 in it out, and then people can only put 20 OP in it in so that the pool ratio is slightly imbalanced, but it can never do this fully, and that's covered by governance, so that not the entire pool draws out. Because what if I'm a sequencer, an L2 that's lying? I can mint balances into this account, and then withdraw them through this option and instantly get in it. So not just is not only the maximum ratio needs to be defined, so how much OP in it can swap out, but all of these L2s also need to be whitelisted. So to make sure that the people who are depositing, which are the init holders, are not getting wrecked. So as last thing is that not just a peg keeper can of course do arbitrage, but so can init holders, and that makes it super interesting. Instead of needing to be a market maker and like that's at least how it works on Ethereum and with like layer 0, you need to buy distressed asset from one person on the L2, and then you need to get this contact, withdraw them yourself. Everybody in this system can be a market maker, can be an arbitrage player. So if I'm someone that has init, or I'm maybe even able to hedge my init, and I want to just earn a stable yield, what I can do is every time that this ratio is favorable, so maybe it's 0.95, or actually it's reverse, I get 1.05 init for every init I swap. I do this, I swap, and then I OP bridge out. I wait 7 days, and with that I've earned 5% more init, right? 1.05. And I can do this every single day, how much I want, and just constantly keep looping this and earn more in it. And at the same time, I could hedge this out, or I could just be happy that I get more in it. And at the same point, people who want to be more passive and don't want to take this constant action, they can deploy their init into this pool, or their USDC or whatever, and basically profit from people going in and out of the system. And this is similar to what something you might know as Peapod Finance, or Apollo on Cosmos, which is called volatility farming. It's basically you deposit one asset and people go in and out of a vault, and every time there's charged a fee and you earn on this fee. And instead of calling it volatility farming, you're sort of security farming. You're farming this time delay in the optimistic bridge. So whenever this goes live, and this is the entire system, I have some additional like comments here, but whenever this goes live, people can there are multiple options to basically generate yield for yourself based on these assets, and it also simplifies the process for all kinds of users. So it's really a net beneficial system where any actor can swap out if they want to, and the actor can swap in cheaper, basically pricing in this time delay. You can arbitrage it, you can deposit LP without having impermanent loss. It's overall a very interesting system. I'm curious how many fees will be made in this thing. Maybe it's a lot. Maybe it can go to staking. Maybe it's not a lot. It all goes to depositors. We will see. But there's definitely a lot of interest in using this. They just recently made a Medium article that explains all of this, and then they updated their documentation. So I really want to implore you to go check it out. But this system, in my opinion, is what's needed to make optimistic bridging worthwhile, and it's what makes Initia special. Without this, all of the L2s would be incredibly separate, right? It would be hard for them to emit state and stuff like this. But with this system, I can IBC a message with a token, swap it, and do. So what I can do is I can I have init on my L1. Oh wait, I'm drawing like a crazy man. I have init on the L1. I can then move that to an L2, which is, I don't know, Milky Way. I'm gonna mint some milk in it, which is their restaking to their LSD. I have this, and now I want to not go to the L1, but I want to go to I don't know, Contro to predict that Trump is going to win. What I will do is I will move my assets to the L1. I'll then move them to Contro, all within a single message. I get them from here, I get them here, I go through the L1 and go to Contro, and it's done. And MinitSwap really allows this because of IBC, because of all chains being Cosmos SDK chains, and it's super great in my opinion. It's what makes or breaks this system. So yeah, go check it out. I have red arrows all over the system right now, but I'll I'll put in this graph in the bottom so you can check it out. You can also try it on mainnet right now, or mainnet. Try it on testnet right now. So go there, try it out, see for yourself, use it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.